This video was brought to you by CuriosityStream, and if you sign up now, you also get access to our streaming service Nebula absolutely free, where you can get exclusive TLDR videos and an extended version of our new show, The Daily Briefing. As you probably already know, Putin's invasion of Ukraine isn't going to plan. In the north, Russian forces failed to take Kyiv. In the south, Russian forces have failed to take any additional territory since early March. And in the east, forces have even failed to take control over all of Donbass, a territory claimed by pro-Russian separatists and recognized as independent by Russia. So, given things aren't going as well as he hoped, Putin has apparently been forced to give up on his original plan of taking Kyiv, and Russian forces are now instead focusing on Donbass. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Russia's regrouping in the east, and how all of this might pan out in the long term. When the invasion began in late February, it was clear that Putin wanted to capture Kyiv. After all, a 10-kilometer convoy was approaching from the north, and Russian forces were also trying to stage a separate offensive from the east. In fact, US intelligence have claimed that Russia expected to take Kyiv within just 2 days. And this is consistent with an article accidentally published by Russian state media on February 26th, which declared, falsely, that Russia was already victorious over Ukraine, just 2 days after the first invasion. However, as you know, Russian forces have failed to take Kyiv, in large part due to logistical issues. And the tide has turned so significantly that in late March, Ukrainian forces started retaking towns around Kyiv. Presumably realizing that Kyiv was a lost cause, on March 25th, Russia's first deputy chief of staff claimed, somewhat implausibly, that Russia only ever wanted to take Donbass, and that Russia's assault on Kyiv was only about limiting Ukraine's military capacity. This is obviously nonsense, because, well, you don't commit a 40-mile-long convoy of military vehicles and sacrifice thousands of soldiers just as a distraction. Regardless, on March 29th, Russia's deputy defense minister announced that Russia was, quote, drastically reducing activities in Kyiv and the Cherniv oblasts. Russian forces then began their withdrawal on March 31st, and by April 5th, Russian forces were nearly completely gone from northern Ukraine. In the same time frame, Ukrainian forces made some gains in the south of the country, around the city of Kherson, a provincial capital of some 300,000 people that was originally captured by Russian forces in late February. Having withdrawn from the north, though, Russian forces have begun to redeploy in the east of Ukraine, around Donbass, and the Ukrainian Defense Ministry has claimed that Russia plans to deploy some 60 to 70,000 Russian troops within the region. For context, Russia and Ukraine previously had similar numbers of troops in the region, about 40,000 each. But there have been reports that Russia is struggling to find the numbers and is now recruiting reservists. This would explain why the offensive has taken so long. Russian forces withdrew from the north of Ukraine on April 5th and have basically been standing still ever since. Certainly not a quick withdrawal and refocusing. So that's what's happened. Russia has exclusively refocused on Donbass, albeit kind of slowly. So on to the second part of this video. What happens next? Well, ultimately, we're not sure, because military analysts disagree on Russia's ultimate plan. Some think that they're going to try for a pincer movement on Izium in the north and Mariupol in the south, to encircle Ukrainian forces in Donetsk. Others think that they're going to go for a larger, more ambitious offensive, moving south from Izium towards Dnipro and north from Melitopol towards Zaporizhzhia, which would involve capturing the Donetsk Oblast, the Zaporizhzhia Oblast, and most of the Dnipro Oblast. Whatever happens though, the war in Donbass will likely be even more bloody and violent, for 3 reasons. Firstly, Russia recently appointed Alexander Dvornikov as the supreme commander of its armed forces in Ukraine, a general renowned for brutality in Grozny and Syria. Secondly, Ukrainian forces in Donbass have been fighting since 2014, which means that they've A, got a lot of military experience, and B, had a lot of time to sort out their defensive positions, so they won't go down easily. In this respect, Russia's target of 70,000 troops looks a bit optimistic. Traditionally, military analysts assume that a defending force has a 3-to-1 advantage over an attacker. According to the 3-to-1 rule then, Russia would actually need at least 120,000 troops to guarantee victory in Donbass. And this is before accounting for the fact that Ukraine has had 8 years to bed in their defensive positions. Thirdly, Russia's delay has given Ukraine time to resupply its forces in Donbass, and the West has continued to send military aid to the country. The US, for instance, has just sent $800 million more military aid to Ukraine, including artillery, armoured personnel carriers, and helicopters, while Slovakia is currently considering donating its flight of fighter jets. So it's clear that this fight is going to continue and continue to get bloodier. But onto the third part of this video. How will this affect negotiations and the outcome of the war? Well, obviously, all of this, the retreat and the slow reconvening, has weakened Russia's negotiating position. Had the Russian army successfully captured Kyiv, then Putin would have been in a strong place to extract some sort of concession from Zelensky. If they do take Donbass, then a negotiated settlement does still look possible. Zelensky might be forced into giving up Donbass, which would probably be politically acceptable to Putin. However, if Russia fails to take Donbass with the coming offensive, this would essentially amount to a Ukrainian victory. Putin likely wouldn't be able to negotiate any territorial concessions, and will either have to return to Russia empty-handed or escalate further, neither of which looks like a great outcome for him. If you want to be updated on this story as it plays out, then you should subscribe to the Daily Briefing, our show where we break down the 5 stories you need to know about each day in just 5 minutes. Kind of like your daily news vitamins to get you in the know quickly. Now, if you're interested, then you can watch it on the Daily Briefing YouTube channel, or you can listen by searching in your favourite podcast app. But if you want the extended version of the show, that's an extra 10 minutes every single day and an ad-free experience, then you'll want to sign up to our streaming service Nebula. There you'll also find all kinds of exclusive TLDR videos which will never make it to YouTube, and all of our latest videos ad-free. And if you're interested, then I've got good news, because we partnered with CuriosityStream, the home of the best documentaries online. Thanks to them, you can get both streaming services. That's CuriosityStream for all the docs you could want, and Nebula for bonus TLDR for less than $15 a year. That's a wild deal, and a 26% discount on their already low price. So get yourself a ton of documentaries and exclusive content from your favorite creators, including the Daily Briefing Extended Edition, by signing up using the link below. Thanks for your support.